This is primarily about forgiveness. But in order to do forgiveness, we need to understand the mind. So I'm going to give you a map of the mind, which what these diagrams are about. And I will read some quotes from the very end of A Course in Miracles, which has the clarification of terms. And this is about mind and spirit, clarifying what that means. And the Course has a slightly different understanding of the word mind. Most of what we have thought in the world is some aspect of the brain. And the Course is not talking about the brain at all. So let me read a few quotes. In this world, because the mind is split, see, the mind is split from God. The mind is split, and the sons of God, of which we are, appear to be separate. It feels like we're separate bodies. It seems like we have separate minds. Appear to be separate, nor do their minds seem to be joined. We think we have separate minds. We even think we have separate egos, and we're going to learn that we don't. In this illusory state, the concept of an individual mind seems to be meaningful. So to us it's meaningful to have a separate mind. It is therefore described in the Course as if it has two parts, spirit and ego. So our experience here is that we have two parts of our mind. A part that we know very well. I hope you can all see it. I'll move from side to side so you can all see it. A part that we know called the ego. The ego is about separation, a separate self, a separate small self with a small s. This is, like Douglas's body and personality, is the small self. It's not who I really am, but that's who I experience myself as. And fear is in the ego part of my mind, of the mind. And we call that the wrong mind. The other part of my mind, called the right mind, we can access spirit, that part of my mind, and experience love, oneness, and my higher self, my true self. So all of that is available in my right mind, and all of this is available in my wrong mind. However, most of us have forgotten that part of our mind. So we sit here spinning in our ego mind, going round and round in circles, spinning around the ego script of separation, me or you, separate interests, trying to understand the world, trying to understand the body, trying to understand our thoughts. And all of the ego script that most of us are aware of, or at least some of it that we're aware of, most of it is actually hidden. And we think that's life, we think that's who we are. And we spend our whole time trying to understand that in order to get happy. But this is an effect. This is not the cause. So the question is, what we're told is that we're choosing all of this. We're choosing this ego script. It's a common ego script that we all share, that we've all made up together as one. For a very specific reason, which again we'll cover on the second weekend. But who is it that's choosing this wrong mind? There must be another part of my mind that's choosing this.
Everything's upside down.
There is a part of my mind that's choosing the wrong mind. But because we like it here, believe it or not, insane though it is, we've even forgotten that there's a part of my mind choosing it. So you could say the whole training in A Course in Miracles is to get back to this, which it calls the mind. We have become mindless here, and our job is to become mindful by getting back to the part of the mind that's choosing all of it. We have to become the witness of our dream, you could say. We have to become vigilant for our thoughts, vigilant for our choices. Is it a wrong-minded choice, or is it a right-minded choice? So the first thing is we have to get back to the decision maker so that we can choose again. Having always chosen this, and we're told there is another way, and the other way is the right mind. So when we get back to the witness, which we'll start practicing very soon, now finally we have a chance to choose away from separation and choose oneness or connection. It's only at this level do we have any real choice. All the choices of the world are in here. You know, preferences, good and bad, love and hate. They're all preferences within the ego script. And we have to forget about this. This is why telling stories just keeps you start looping. We have to stand above the stories and start watching our stories from above, metaphorically. Standing above the battlefield, you could say. So when we're here, looking at ourselves in action, watching our thoughts in action, we finally have a choice and say, I don't want this anymore. It's not about choosing love. We have to say no to this. This is what forgiveness is about. We have to say no to our no to love. It's called a not no. We've been saying no to love all the time. That's why we're looping here. We have to say no to that. So we watch ourselves choosing separation in all its forms and say, I don't want this. It is described in the Course as if it has two parts, spirit and ego. Spirit is the part that is in contact with God through the Holy Spirit. So this has a memory of where we came from, heaven. The term soul is not used except in direct biblical quotations because of its highly controversial nature. It would, however, be an equivalent of spirit with the understanding that being of God, it is eternal and it was never born. So if you want to use the word soul, it's an eternal concept. The other part of the mind is entirely illusory and makes only illusions. So this ego is illusory. We've made it up. It's actually not real. So our self actually doesn't exist. This is really scary. The mind can be right or wrong, right-minded or wrong-minded, depending on the voice to which it listens. So the top circle, which is the mind, is choosing one or the other. You cannot be in both. You can flip from one to the other, but you're never in both. Right-mindedness listens to spirit and forgives the world. Wrong-mindedness listens to the ego and makes illusions, perceiving sin and justifying anger and seeing guilt, disease and death as real. In this world, the only remaining freedom is the freedom of choice, always between two choices or two voices. So you could say our whole practice on this course and with the Course in Miracles is to learn to choose between the right and the wrong mind. That's our only choice here. It's actually a very, very simple teaching. We don't have to go to university to learn thousands of things to choose between. We only have two to choose between. It's very, very simple, but it's not easy. The reason it's not easy is because this is who we think we are. We think we are a separated, fearful self. It's our very identity. And this is what we have to let go of gradually. We'd have to do it slowly, otherwise it would bring up way too much fear. So we do it step by step. Another way of describing the process of going from the wrong-minded to right-minded is bringing the darkness to the light. So we watch ourselves choosing darkness, and we say we don't want it anymore. And we take it to the light in our right minds. And guess what? It disappears. Most of our thoughts and our feelings are hidden from us. This is why rebirthing is so helpful, because it brings a lot of our darkness up to the surface so that we can look at it in the light. Rebirthing on its own will not get you to peace. It'll remove energy blocks in your system. But if your mind is still in blame, judgment, criticism, it will not get you to peace. But it's a very helpful tool to work with the Course. So we're bringing the darkness to the light of a forgiving mind. That's really our job here. So what is a miracle? Miracle in the world is seen as, something manifest, or suddenly cancer disappears or something like that. But in the Course in Miracles terminology, the miracle is a shift in perception from wrong-minded perception to right-minded perception, quite literally. And it happens actually automatically.
And so all of those three are part of the mind.
Yeah.
And the mind is that simply the separation? What is separated from God is the mind? Or?
Yeah, the split mind. This is all the split mind from God. Right? What we're trying, this is where it gets tricky, because what we're trying to do is describe something that's beyond words. Right? What the Course says is that the separation actually has not happened. We're dreaming that it has happened. This is a collective dream. We're just trying to find a pictorial way, perhaps, of describing what seems to be going on in the mind. There aren't, three parts that you could measure on a CT scan or anything like that. But we're trying to describe a way that is helpful for us to undo this dream. Good say. We have to become the observer. Instead of, well, you could say we have to become the puppeteer rather than the puppet. We have been the puppet all our lives, all our lifetimes. Thinking the world is doing it to us, while all the time we're actually doing the world.